We was in the dark and y'all was over here in the light. Y'all had everything. And you mean my people was up here dying and struggling and doing all that stuff because you thought you was being cursed? What kind of... So here goes story time, right? Something happened, right? Something happened to the earth, and there was a lot of devastation, a lot of destruction, right? So when everything was said and done, there was just one group of people, right? And all of these people looked the same. As they journeyed outside of their respective areas where they were hidden at, and they realized, dang it, everybody here looks like me. In complexion, we're the same. We all are dark skinned. I ain't talking about like my complexion. I'm a light skinned person, man. Really at heart, I'm light skinned. I'll show y'all later, man. But I might put some pictures up here to show y'all. But I'm a light skinned dude. I just spend a lot of time in the sun. I try not to spend too much time in the sun because I get darker than this, but I'm a really light skinned dude. I just tan very well, man. But anyway, let me get on to it, right? These people were all one color. They were all melanated. They were darkly, highly melanated people, right? Some of them was dumb as a box of rocks, and some of them was smart as hell. The dumb ones usually hung with the dumb ones, and the smart ones usually kicked it with the smart ones when they found them, right? Because that's what we do as people, I guess, even to this day. You feel what I'm saying? While the dumb ones was playing sports and listening to making music and having fun, I ain't gonna call them dumb. I'm just gonna say these people weren't interested in trying to build something and creating something for other people to do and making a bunch of wealth or having the most of anything. They just want to chill and have fun and live life, man. That's all they want to do. And they do what they need to do in order to survive. But really, that's about all they trying to do is what they need to do. Anything outside of what they need to do or feel the need to do, they ain't trying to do right. So that's these kind of people. Which I guess is every man, every woman, every child, right? But sometimes we're forced to do things we don't want to do, which gives us the urge to want to do different things. So we had an urge to do things. But anyway, back to the story, right? I know I get off track a lot, y'all. So keep up with me. So all these highly melanated people, right? As they were producing, you know, I mean, they was banging, bang, bang, bang. And they be producing these kids, right? Some of the kids started coming out different texture. You know, it'd be two dark-skinned people get together and all of a sudden they get this yellow baby. But the yellow baby over time would get darker. So they'd be cool with that. It's all good. Guess that's just something that happened to us when we born, right? More time go on, and some of these yellow babies weren't yellow. They was actually pale. Some were pale with red hair, or reddish hair, and some were pale with brown hair, and some were pale with blonde hair, and some had blue eyes, and some had green eyes, and some had, you know, they just started looking real weird or different, you know? And these lighter skinned children, these pale children, as you would call it, the ones who was really lacking melanin, they couldn't do a lot of the stuff that the melanated people could do. The heavily melanated people can do a lot more stuff than they could. And a lot of times these folks would get sick. And when they got sick, they would get sick. Like pus lesions on their face and weird blemishes and stuff like that. And sometimes a melanated person that was really heavily melanated could all of a sudden start getting blotches on their skin that'd be pale. And the hair in there might turn blonde or red. And it might get rashy and turn swollen and get infected and do weird stuff. And people were scared of this mess. So they started going in different areas. They would go to the leaders of the area and tell them folks, hey, look, man. They would tell these folks, that's my cousin, he on the way now. They would tell these folks, look, man, this what, we need y'all to get to do something about this, man. These folks, they all messed up. We must be cursed. You know, it gotta be a curse. We must have did something wrong. And these folks is being punished for it. Please get them out of the city. Get them out of the town. They don't need to be around here. They're gonna infect our people, and we all gonna look like them. We all gonna go through this. So the leaders, you know, they came up with a plan. All the leaders came up together and they said, well, shoot, there's some land up north we could push these folks to, because we can't just kill them. This is after all our relatives, our family, our children, and stuff like that. But we can't have, one bad apple spoil the whole batch. So they decided to push these folks. They decided to push these folks up north, right? And up north it was a cooler climate. There wasn't no sun like that. It was more shady. The vegetation was a lot different. The animals were different. Certain areas it wasn't much of either because of the climate. It was so cold. But the leaders felt or understood that these melanin deficient people would be able to thrive a little bit better up there in those mountains, see, than they would down here in this heat on this rough terrain where there's no hiding for you. They didn't have creams and stuff like that to help you out. You was just stuck in the sun, and this stuff would take an effect on you over time and do you some real damage. So they figured it was better to push their brethren up the damn mountain and keep them up that way, because the people down in the cities, not all, but a lot of them were scared of them. Didn't want to get what you had, right? So some generations go by, and as generations go by, what end up happening is people get smart over time, and we start realizing, man, that shit is not as infectious. It ain't as bad as we thought it was. Our generations before us really didn't have to do all that to our people. You know what I mean? So we try and right our wrong, and we send somebody up there to go. They send somebody up there to go bring these folk down. See who it is that they good enough to come on down and bring these folk on down. Get them up out of the. You know what I'm saying? Because they don't need to be there, man. And lo and behold, sent somebody up there. They dealt with who they could deal with and started bringing people back. Now think about it though. These are people who were banished from their homelands, man. And some of these homelands, remember them smart people I told you about? Man, they was creating medicines and schools, and they learned how to bathe with water, and this all kind of stuff got learned over those decades, And these people up here, it ain't like the ones up the hill weren't learning. They was trying to replicate what they had left or what they was banished from. They was trying to replicate it. We do this all the time, man. They was trying to replicate it. So they the ones who can, they trying to build something similar to what they remember. You get what I'm saying? Back home, where they've been banished from because of their disposition. Now they get to come back home, the ones that can, and they seeing, like, bro, for real, wait a minute, y'all got all this stuff, and y'all had us up here in these hills? Bro, we was living like wild dogs, trying to figure it out. We was in the dark, and y'all was over here in the light. Y'all had everything. And you mean my people was up here dying and struggling and doing all that stuff because you thought you was being cursed? What kind of... But I don't believe these people right then and there, they started, just coming out like that. It's the ones who felt it but didn't say anything because they know they was outnumbered, and if you said something, you would be bashed. See? And you would put people up on game so they won't want to help you. And think about the melanated people, them smart melanated folks, when they ran across the smart non-melanated folks. Imagine the battle of wits that had to take place. Because, it's a group of each, and everybody, and there's some thugs in your family, and there's some bookworms in your family too, ain't it? I'm just saying. So that was a battle right there in its own right. Then on top of everything else, there was more melanated people than there was non-melanated people, since remember, non-melanated people come from melanated people, ain't it? So if non-melanated people come from melanated people, then that means that there has to be more melanated people than non-melanated people. Do you get what I'm saying? If that makes sense. So the non-melanated people know they outnumbered. They know that the melanated people have knowledge that they don't possess. They know that the melanated people, they need them to understand how everything works down here, because up there it was different. Do you get what I'm saying? And I'm pretty sure a lot of the melanated people, they were cocky as hell because you was the first. I mean, everything else, little bro. Everything else is like your son. See, and I ain't saying all of them were like that. I'm just saying, come on, bro. You gonna tell me it wasn't nothing like that? And you gonna tell me them folk didn't click up and they didn't have pride in who they was? You gonna tell me they didn't sit there and purposely try to keep things ugly for those who didn't look like them? And what happened when we got centuries and centuries and centuries of this kind of carrying on going on, man? I mean, we see images all over the world of dark-skinned people look like they torturing light-skinned folk. We see images from the pyramids in Egypt, Africa, and from Egypt to America. You know what I mean? We see these images everywhere. And you can't see these images and think, oh, black people with dark-skinned people was just cool. No, they probably gave a lot of what they get. You get what I'm saying? They probably gave a hell of a lot what they get. It's sad to say, but it's probably the truth. Now let's move forward a little bit though. So, picture this, right? The smart non-melanated people and the smart melanated people came up with a plan to kind of put things together where the less or the weak shall inherit the earth. See, the ones who are weaker, they have to have power. You got to give them the power, because if you don't give them the power, then how could they ever feel equal? They're always going to feel less than, right? So the people who truly had the power, or felt they had the power because they were first, had to be made last, and they had to suffer the same way that the others suffered. They had to feel the loss of everything. They had to feel the void of knowing that over here they got all this stuff and they just won't let us have it. They won't let us play with it. We can't have a part of it. We're dying over here and nobody cares. It's like we don't get no help. We're crying out for it, but nobody, who's doing something for us? We won't change and we can't get it because we're not powerful enough to have it. And the people with the power don't respect us because we are not like them. So in this story that I got, I say those smart white folk or smart non-melanated people and those smart melanated people got together and understood this difference and understood that this is something that has to happen, right? So they flipped the script on us and they made the many the few. They took the stories from the melanated people and gave them to the non-melanated people. They changed the imagery in a lot of places and they gave the youth the knowledge that they never had. And in doing so, they created what you see now. See, it's not a black or a white thing. It's a black and white thing. It's just if everybody understood this, then maybe we would reverse it, but are we ready? Because today, we still arguing over color. Let somebody bring it up, they can still divide us with color. They can still divide you with something. They can still tell you white is better, black is better, brown is better, yellow better, while at the same time telling you all of that came from one. Meaning, bro, those your cousins and sisters and mothers and aunties and nieces and nephews and uncles, and it's all of that. That's who they are. They're the other side of you. They're the side of you that you long lost contact with. They're the side of you that you would rather believe fell from space amongst us humans. And they would rather let you believe it because at least then you make them better than you. You make them different. And in different, they're a lot more smarter, advanced. They're a different technology. And they're not. They're the same thing you are. They are you. You are them. It's the same shit. Nothing changed, man. They lie to you and tell you come from Africa. And I ain't saying everybody didn't come from Africa. I'm just saying a lot of people was already here. Y'all need to do y'all history. Check y'all research. My grandmother, my grandfather were Indians. All of them, except for one. And he was too. He was from Nassau, Bahamas. So he was a curly-haired guy, the coarse hair. They call that Easterly Indian. You know what I mean? He's not Easterly, what they call him. They call him Carib. He's Caribbean. You know, Caribbean. But yeah. So that's my little story, man. I'm not gonna be here all day talking to y'all folks. I done did about 16 minutes of speech. Thinking about making a book about this, man, and make it real interesting for you guys to catch on to. We're gonna see. But yeah, we'll see about the book. I feel like this knowledge needs to be out there. I feel like people need to look at this a little differently than what they've been looking at it. I think that, you know, there's a lot of people who, they like the fact that we're blind to stuff, we're oblivious to our situation. I think by getting American melanated people, because this is really where they got us the worst. This is something that happened all over the world, man. It wasn't just in one area, it was everywhere. It's just the way the story got told here was different from anywhere else that I can find. Because here, they actually told you came from somewhere else, and other places, they know exactly who they are. Over here, they put people in your place that kept your traditions alive and keep moving with your traditions while telling you they're not your traditions. You never had that tradition. And the information is there for you to know better, but if you're looking for your history of what you call yourself, that's not there. Because certain words that we use today just wasn't there back then. And what we used back then, some of those words they're different today. They mean something else. Because words do change. It does. You gotta look it up. You know? Go to an 1828 Webster's dictionary and go to one today. Go to a dictionary you found from the 70s or the 60s, early 1900s, and look at one from the late 1900s. They're different words. Some words are gone. Some words are new. Some words have been replaced. They change. I was in school, they told me ain't was not a word. I got in trouble for that. But it's in the dictionary. Bling bling was a terminology made by Lil Wayne. It's in the dictionary now. See? Things change. Words especially. A lot of the stuff we used to call things back then, we don't call it the same. You know, a job was indentured servitude. Slavery was jail, prison of war. You bucked on something and you got locked up. When you get locked up, they make you work. And they'll work you with a gun to your back. Get out of line, try and run, they're gonna shoot you. We still have manhunts, and when you see them, it's a bunch of white folk, a bunch of non-melanated people getting together. It looked like something out of Wild Wild West from back in the day when they were hunting down some Negro. African Americans was blacks, was Negroes, was niggards, or was indigenous and Indians, and yeah, we didn't like none of that stuff. And we're gonna change from being African American sooner or later. That just popped up in the 90s. You don't got two citizenships, you got one. You been to Africa? Do you want to go to Africa? Do you understand anything about Africa besides whatever you know from TV and school? You're not African, you American. You're a minority because you don't understand the truth of what's going on out here. And a minority ain't nothing but a minor. You're looked at like a child. Why? A minority is looked at like a child because a minority don't understand what's really going on. And they have no place in the grown folks' business. Hold on, y'all, this is my cousin. What's up, Rusky? Alright, for sure, bro. I'm out here. Alright. That's my slow ass cousin. He on his way. But yeah. So that's my story and I'm sticking to it, man. I want to know what y'all think. Do y'all think I'm crazy as hell? Y'all think this gonna make a good book? I mean, let me know something. This your boy Tinga Damassi out with my 2 pennies, hitting you up one more time, and I'm gone. Peace.